It started with adjustable actuation points, rapid trigger, DKS, toggle key, mod tap, but then snap tap became a thing, RDT became a thing, continuous rapid trigger, all of these different settings. And if you're kinda new to the magnetic keyboard or Hall effect keyboard scene, then it might get confusing. What should I turn on? What would actually give me a competitive advantage, or will it be a disadvantage? Well, this video will help you decide if you need that feature or not. And also some basic things like actuation points, the best adjustable actuation point settings, the best rapid trigger settings, all that different stuffs. Now, a lot of you might already know a lot of these things, but I know that there's a lot of people there that don't know a lot about magnetic keyboards yet, or just getting started, or just want to get caught up with all of the different features. Well, this video will be for you. Or maybe you're just confused on what this feature does and what this feature does. It's also totally fine. This video will also be for you. So over here, I have the two best, most feature-packed magnetic keyboard softwares from what I've seen from my experience. I've tested a lot of different magnetic keyboards. Of course, I've seen their softwares as well. And yeah, I think these two softwares will have the most features that your keyboard will also probably have. Now, if you have a Wooting keyboard, you should have a pretty similar software, or a NuPhy keyboard. And by the way, if you're planning to buy any NuPhy products or keyboards, be sure to use my discount code MIGSS for some discount in the whole NuPhy store. Links in the description. But yeah, that won't change my opinions on these softwares. I just think they are the best and most feature-packed. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with key bindings. Now, this part isn't really that significant, but it does have some help, especially if you have a feature called the RDT, Release Dual Trigger, or some softwares call it Hyper Tap. More details on that feature later, but yeah, key bindings, or they also call it Remap, not really that significant. Now moving on to trigger settings. Some softwares also call it actuation point settings, rapid trigger settings, like that. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory. This is where you change your actuation points, where you change your rapid trigger. Now, obviously, setting the key's actuation point to the lowest, like 0.1 millimeters, some even lower, will definitely give you the fastest response times, but that is not the most advantageous settings in my own opinion. You can do that, sure, but what I've found worked best for me is this. So what you want to do is select WASD and spacebar, especially in games. That's pretty much what you always use for movement and stuff like that. Make that 0.1 millimeters with rapid trigger turned on the lowest as well. Reactivate the key on 0.01 millimeters, and I wanted to release or deactivate on 0.01 millimeters. Now, don't get it confused. This is very different to the actuation points. It doesn't mean you set the rapid trigger to 0.01 millimeters. That will also be the amount of distance you need to press for the key to actuate. This will be the distance required for you to repress the key while you're still in the middle after deactivating the key, if that makes sense. But yeah, going back to my recommended actuation point settings for the keys over here, again for WASD and spacebar, 0.1 millimeters with rapid trigger as well, turned on with the lowest possible distance on the press and then release. If you have the same over here, you don't have to turn this on, you can just turn it off, but very nice option to have over here. Now, this is also doable in the Wooting software, as you can see over here. You can separate it or not. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my WASD and spacebar. And then for the rest of the keys, except for 4, 5, and Shift and Windows as well, I set the rest of them to 0.5 millimeters. Reason, I don't want to accidentally actuate them. 0.5 is still very little, so feel free to increase it if you feel like you're still accidentally actuating the rest of the keys, because this might be your ability keys. For example, if you play Valorant or Deadlock, you don't want to go accidentally pressing your Q, your E, your whatever key, other skill. So yeah, that's why I recommend setting it up higher than 0.1 millimeters. For me personally, I don't really mind having the rapid trigger turned on and also at the lowest. It might actually also help if you're planning to spam any of the keys over here. Say your Q won't activate, or you pressed it in the wrong time and you want to press it again as soon as possible, then yeah, rapid trigger will help with that. But yeah, not really a big deal if you have rapid trigger turned on or off. I do recommend turning it on though. Now, the reason why I didn't select number 4, 5, and Shift over here, I mostly played Valorant and I'm starting to play a bit more of Deadlock now. But yeah, with Valorant, number 4 and 5 is my plant keys. Now, whenever I'm planting or diffusing as well, I use this for diffusing, I don't want to accidentally lift off the key. And if you have rapid trigger, it always happens. You will lift up the key a little bit by accidentally or whatever the reason. As soon as you lift it up like 0.01 millimeters, it can deactivate. So it will be so much safer just to turn off rapid trigger on number 4 and 5, because those are my plant keys. If you have a different plant key, I do recommend not enabling rapid trigger on those keys or the fuse keys as well. And then for the shift, this is my walk key in Valorant, and sometimes I'm walking, and whenever I accidentally lift up the shift key, again similar to number 4 and 5, I just go ahead and start running, making all of that noise, and we definitely not want that happening. So I also disable it on the shift key. And then I set it to 0.1 millimeter actuation point, because who knows, I might have 0.1 millisecond time left before the bomb explodes. I want to immediately defuse, so that's why I have that on 0.1 millimeters. But again, if you use these keys for, like, say, abilities, let's say for example in Deadlock, I use my 1, 2, 3, 4 as ability keys. So yeah, I probably don't need this to be on 0.1 millimeters. It might be better to be on 0.5 millimeters. Again, it will really depend on the game you're playing. For Valorant, this setting right now I have is really good. But if you're playing a different game, pretty much the same logic applies over here. So yeah, feel free to change all of the settings I have recommended over here for your own benefit. You play the game whatever you want. You have your own keybinds maybe. But yeah, lastly, for the Windows key over here, I think this will apply for pretty much all of the games. Rapid trigger doesn't really matter. You can turn it on or off. But yeah, having the actuation point to the highest possible, for me personally over here, it's 3.3 millimeters. For the Wooting, I can go to as high as 4 millimeters. But yeah, the reason why you want it to the highest or to the most bottomest press is so that when you accidentally tap the Windows key, it doesn't open up your Windows key and exit your full screen game. I rarely ever press my Windows key now that I have set it to the most bottom distance, because I really need to press it down, and I really need to be very intentional for it to actuate. So yeah, I think for every game this would be beneficial. Now, these other features that I'm about to mention might not be available for your keyboard, but I've seen a lot that it is available for. And it is the dead zone and the continuous rapid trigger. Recently, I've seen more and more different keyboards enable this dead zone configuration or dead zone setting. Some magnetic keyboards have problems if you set the actuation point to the lowest it can go, and also the rapid trigger. Sometimes it accidentally actuates the key. Sometimes it accidentally deactivates the key. The reason for that is something related to the magnetic fields, because you know this is a magnetic keyboard. It uses magnets. Sometimes there's a little mess over there. So you definitely want to recalibrate your keyboard. These two softwares I have right now, I'm pretty sure it does it automatically, the recalibration, so every time it recalibrates the keyboard. But some keyboards you need to manually recalibrate it, and that might help with the issue of accidentally activating or deactivating a key without you even doing it. But yeah, if that still is the case even after recalibrating the keyboard, then you would definitely want to enable the dead zone over here. Pretty self-explanatory. It does give you initial and pre-travel on the switch on the key. If you don't know what that means, initial travel means is the amount of distance you need to actually press the top of the key for it to actuate. So you can kind of see why it helps with the accidental actuation points. And then for the pre-travel, it does that as well, but for the bottom. So once you press the key to the very bottom, that is the amount of distance you need to lift off in order to deactivate the key. There's nothing wrong turning this on. I've experienced a lot of accidental actuation point and deactivating in a lot of good keyboards as well. It just can't be helped with the wobbly magnetic switches. There are some magnetic switches that are less wobbly than the others. But yeah, it can't be helped. 0.01 millimeters or 0.1 millimeters is very sensitive. But yeah, that is for the dead zone. And then for the continuous rapid trigger over here, it'll be much better and easier to understand if you see what's happening over here. So I'm gonna use Z over here. So let's say I have my actuation point at 2.5 millimeters, and then I have continuous rapid trigger turned off. So obviously my Z should actuate on 2.5 millimeters, as you can see over here. Boom, 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 boom. As you can see, it's not actuating again because I'm not hitting the actuation point over here, as you can see. So no matter how much down I press on top, as long as it's on top of the actuation point, it's not gonna repress Z. unless I just really go down there. But with continuous rapid trigger, even above the set actuation point over here of 2.5 millimeters, it will apply the rapid trigger function over here. So once you press 0.1 millimeter distance, even on top of the actuation point, it will still press Z. So I'm pressing it at the bottom, so of course it's gonna spam Z, and then I let go, it's gonna stop. But then I press a little bit. Even though I'm on top of the actuation point, it is actuating Z, even though I'm above the 2.5 millimeters and I'm not even reaching it. That's pretty much what continuous rapid trigger does. This will help if you like spamming a key. So I think if you're playing like Osu, where you really press that Z and X very fast, then this will definitely help. But it doesn't really make a lot of difference if you have your actuation point on 0.1 millimeters, because you cannot even go above 0.1 millimeters or the lowest actuation point you have. It won't really hurt turning this on. And you might be confused that if you turn this on, your key, whatever, will start actuating on 0.1. No, you have to press the key to the distance you've set first before it starts actuating this rapid trigger. So as you can see over here, I'm pressing it on 0.1 millimeters. It's not actuating this, even if I spam it over here. I need to press it down to the actuation point first, like so. And then I can get that. So yeah, it's not really a big deal. This continuous rapid trigger, I would recommend you to just turn it on. Now, the Wooting software over here actually doesn't have a dead zone feature. Now, what that means is it already does have a dead zone activated automatically that you cannot turn off, or the keyboard is so confident that it won't accidentally actuate or deactivate with its 0.1 millimeters or whatever millimeters it has. And there's some keyboards as well where you can select the specific switch you're using on a keyboard, because some switches have different max distance pressed. Say the switch you're using doesn't reach 4 millimeters, then no matter how hard you press, it's not gonna reach that. So yeah, you might wanna, if you already know it doesn't really matter, just set it to 3.3 millimeters, knowing that that is the most bottom distance your switch can go. But yeah, switch selection, not really a big deal, but would help you have the more accurate software. That's pretty much it for the trigger settings, or the actuation point or rapid trigger, whatever it's called on your software. Next is the RGB effects, or the lighting effects. Now, it doesn't really have any effect on the performance of the keyboard, but some keyboards, like the Wooting over here, does have tachyon mode, and if enabled, it will limit the keyboard's brightness and disables the RGB effects. I don't think lowering the brightness will help a lot, unless, again, you do have a option to turn on like tachyon mode or performance mode, and it automatically turns your brightness lower. That's gonna be it for the lighting settings. Now, let's go ahead and go to the advanced keys over here, where you can access like a lot of different features as well, like DKS, pretty well known, mod tap, toggle key, Rappy, Snappy, Snappy Tappy, SOCD. Most of the times I see all of these settings on the advanced keys. That's the name they call it as well. But for NuPhy over here, you gotta right click on the key you want to set that function or feature for. So let's start with the basics over here. We do have dynamic keystroke. Most commonly, you can set up to 4 different actions on a single key from what I've seen. Let's say when I press E on 1 millimeters, I want it to actuate E. But then when I press it down to the 3 millimeters, I want it to actuate Z. But then when I start lifting it up over here by like this much, it will actuate W. Now I can also make it so like this function extends all the way to like here, like that. So by pressing E alone, I should actuate all these 3 different keys. Okay, so I'm gonna press E. There we go. So I'm gonna do it slower. So I'm pressing E, it should actuate E, and then Z, and then I'm gonna let go, it should actuate W, because that's what I set on the DKS over here. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next one, mod tap. Now this enables you to have 2 different functions in a single key, and it will actuate depending if you tap it very fast or you hold it. So let's say for tap, I want it to actuate W, and then for hold, I want it to actuate P. So if I tap the, what key was it? If I tap E very fast, it should actuate W, like that. But if I hold it, it should actuate P. So I'm gonna hold it now, and it actuated P. The mod tap function is very helpful for keyboards that doesn't have a arrow key. So what I can do is like make shift, menu, control, and F and 5 over here my up, left, down, and right arrow keys. So if I press this like very fast, if I just tap it, it will actually actuate the right arrow key over here. But if I hold it, it will still have that F and 5 function, or Control Alt Menu Shift function. Totally fine. But yeah, that's what I saw mod tap is used for mostly, but there's probably a lot of different use as well if you think of any. But yeah, next over here is toggle key. Now this feature will help you hold a specific key without you actually holding it. If I want to have a lot of P and my keyboard to keep actuating P, I have to hold it, right? It will keep on actuating P. But I can make it so that I just need to tap F, like over here, for it to actuate P continuously. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tap F real quick, just one time, boom. And then for me to stop, I just press F. Or I can also just hold F and it won't do that automatically. It will still function normally. Or let's say I just want to type P one time, I just hold it and then let go as soon as I see that P, so it doesn't continuously go through, like go on forever, like that. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you were able to understand toggle key over here. Now rapid shift. It monitors the 2 selected keys and activates whichever key pressed further down. It is kind of similar to SOCD. Now this rapid shift is also called Rappy Snappy on the Wooting software. It might be a different name for you, but that's what they're called mostly, from what I've seen at least. But yeah, it is pretty similar to SOCD. The only difference is the rapid shift, again, detects whichever key is most pressed down. So let's say this is my A key and then this is my D key. If I press A like this much, it will actuate A, but then I press D a little bit further, then it will deactivate A and then continue pressing D or whichever key is more pressed down. And then when I start lifting D up and it detects that the A is now a little bit deeper, it will now actuate A and not D. But okay, now for SOCD, this is a pretty well-known feature as well, but if you don't know it, it's pretty similar to Rapid Shift or Rappy Snappy, but it's not detecting the deepest pressed. It's detecting the last key pressed. So let's say I press A, it will actuate A, right? But then I start pressing D, doesn't matter the distance, as soon as I press D, it will detect that, oh, the last key pressed, it's now D, I'm gonna deactivate A, and I will keep pressing D. So yeah, that's pretty much the function of it. And if you don't know why it's helpful in games like Valorant or CS2, having both the D and then the A pressed, or your left and right movement keys pressed both at the same time, it will leave you just frozen in place. But with the help of SOCD or Rapid Shift, you will pretty much eliminate the possibility of selecting or pressing the A and the D or your left and right movement keys together, because no matter what you do, you cannot press both of them. It will either select the deepest one or it will select the last key pressed. It's more effective on the SOCD, since on the Rapid Shift you can both press them at the same time at both distance deep. And there is some options that you can do with Rapid Shift. If that ever happens, you can actuate both of them or the last key press will still be actuating. But yeah, SOCD is just more effective. Your counter strafe will be so much more faster and effective with SOCD. Now SOCD is also called Snappy Tappy over here on the Wooting software. It's also called Snap Tap with Razer software. And it's also called Last Win in Drunkder's software. And yeah, it might have other names, but those are the most famous names for these features. And then lastly, we do have Hyper Tap. Now, this Hyper Tap is not available for the Wooting software from what I can see. They might add it in the future, I don't know. This Hyper Tap feature is also available in the Drunkder software. They call it Release Dual Trigger, RDT. Now, I'm pretty sure it also is available in Melgic's keyboards, like the Made 68 Pro, the Made 84 Pro. They have a different name. Quick Release Trigger, that's what they call it for the Melgic magnetic keyboards. What Hyper Tap pretty much does is, if you press a key and then you start lifting it up, it can actuate a different key. So you can kind of do it with the DKS over here, because you can, you can select the key you want to actuate as soon as you lift it up, and then you can also select a key that actuates as soon as you press it down. But it's actually pretty different. Hyper Tap or RDT is more optimized, if I would describe it. So you will find Hyper Tap or RDT the most advantageous in games where you need to counter strafe, or counter strafing gives you an advantage. Why is that? So let's say I make A over here have hyper tap, I want the second key to be D. So let's say I press A to go left in Valorant, right? And then suddenly I see an enemy and I let go. It automatically presses D without me needing to press the D. Because as soon as the keyboard detects the A key going up, it will activate the other key that it's assigned, so which is D. So do you get the advantage now? You can now go right, and then as soon as you see a key or see an enemy, you let go and it presses A. This kind of has a similar effect like SOCD, because there's no way that you can press A and D both at the same time, because the other key or the counter strafe key will only activate once you start lifting up the key. Now, a lot of people ask me which is more advantageous, SOCD snap tap or RDT hyper tap. Now, it really depends on you. One thing I would say though is with SOCD, it's kind of more, you kind of have more freedom. Both good features, both advantageous. Now, be aware though, in CS2, I'm pretty sure they are not allowing SOCD or hyper tap or RDT anymore. But yeah, from what I know, CS2 is the only game that so far right now is not allowing SOCD, snap tap, or RDT. As of the filming of this video, I'm pretty sure Valorant is still enabling it. Apex Legends, I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. Oh, again, in Apex Legends as well, there is a way to super glide, right? In Apex Legends, where when you're climbing up an object and then you suddenly press crouch and jump at the same time, almost at the same time, you will get like a boost super glide. I think that's what they call it. So let's say you embed jump with C as soon as you lift it up, and let's say C is your crouch. So once you just press C, it will crouch and just let go immediately, and it will jump and you get the super glide. So it'll be more consistent for sure, and that would be very advantageous and so much easier to do then. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Apex Legends is allowing you to use these features. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, the filming of this video, it's pretty much legal in a lot of games. The only game that I know that doesn't allow these features are CS2, just CS2. So yeah, very nice, usable, advantageous features in a lot of games, I'm sure. I do recommend you guys try these features out because it's really fun and amazing to have them. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I pray and hope that you were able to find useful information. I was able to help you, and I'm sorry if it's kind of unorganized. I just want to make this video, tell you guys about the features if you're confused, give you guys my recommendations on what I think is the best. I pray and hope that this video helped you in some way. If you have any correction or any suggestions on the video or the settings, if you have your own experience, be sure to comment it down below. And yeah, I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to stay grateful, and remember, Jesus loves you. Bye bye.